Even after leaving the Luxor Lodgings Hotel, Blair continued to follow Ethan. Walking in 6-inch heels became increasingly difficult. The heat from the morning sun spread everywhere, causing irritation in her eyes from the contact lenses. However, she couldn't let discomfort hinder her mission. She discreetly trailed behind Ethan, ensuring she maintained a safe distance. She wondered why he was walking on the road instead of taking his car. He didn't appear aware of her presence, focused on the bustling city streets. The noise of honking cars and chattering pedestrians filled the air, creating a chaotic symphony that masked the sound of her footsteps. Suddenly, her phone rang. She took it out of her bag and saw Miss Charlotte's name on the screen. Quickly, she answered, "Hello, Miss Charlotte." Miss Charlotte's voice came through the phone, sharp and authoritative. "I asked you to follow my son, Ethan. Did you discover anything suspicious?" Blair paused for a moment to gather her thoughts. She felt nervous. She had been watching Ethan since he arrived at work that morning, noting every detail she could remember from his actions. So far, there hadn't been any clues indicating he may have committed anything suspicious. "No, Chairman. I have been monitoring him since yesterday, but I found nothing," Blair admitted nervously. "Did he meet Thomas Martin yesterday?" Miss Charlotte inquired. Blair was quiet, almost hesitant. There was definitely something wrong, as Miss Charlotte wanted to ask so many questions about her son, needing help from an employee instead of a professional detective. Stunned by the question, it took Blair a moment before she managed to stammer out an answer. She swallowed and shook her head before answering. "No, Miss Charlotte. Yesterday he was with a girl, not with Thomas Martin." "With a girl? Which girl?" Miss Charlotte asked, her tone slightly indignant. Blair closed her eyes, trying to remember the name from the passport she had seen. "With a girl named Ava Smith from Australia. I think she is his classmate." "All right, leave him for now and make sure he won't see you there," Miss Charlotte quickly instructed before hanging up the phone abruptly. As memories flooded her mind like a movie reel, a slight laugh escaped Blair's lips. She had always worked hard to catch Miss Charlotte's attention, but Kaylee always reaped the rewards of her efforts. However, this time would be different. She jumped in excitement, causing her feet to ache. This time, she would surely make Miss Charlotte proud and earn her reward. One day before Ethan became CEO of Lopez Food Company. 1 a.m., early morning hours. Phone ring. Blair answered the phone, her eyes fixated on it, seeing President Miss Charlotte on the screen. Glancing at the clock, she noticed it was 1 a.m. "Why is Miss Charlotte calling so early?" She quickly answered the call, attempting to maintain a steady voice. "Hello, Miss Charlotte. Is there something urgent?" "Yes, Blair, I needed your help with something urgent. Could you talk?" Miss Charlotte said in her usual clipped tone, which Blair had become used to over the years of working together. But it still made Blair uneasy. "Yes, Miss Charlotte. What did you need?" There was a pause. Finally, Miss Charlotte answered. "I wanted you to keep an eye on my son Ethan for me. But do it discreetly, no one could know." Blair raised her eyebrows slightly at that. She wasn't in a position to ask her boss a question, so she kept quiet, instead focusing on the task she was assigned. Miss Charlotte continued speaking before Blair could say anything. "This is very important," she stressed. "You understand, right?" "Sure, ma'am," Blair responded quietly. "When do I have to do this?" Miss Charlotte sighed heavily before responding. "Tomorrow, he is set to become the CEO, and Thomas Martin is going to contact him." Blair's heart skipped a beat. Miss Charlotte had always been a demanding boss, but this request felt different. Spying on her own son. It seemed like a breach of trust, but she couldn't refuse her. "Surely, Miss Charlotte. I will do my utmost to gather any information you require." Miss Charlotte let out a sigh, her voice softening slightly. "Thank you, Blair. I understand this is a strange request, but I must safeguard my family's reputation. I will provide you with all the necessary resources. Just keep me updated with any minor detail. And remember to do it quietly. Involving the police is not an option. It could harm my family's reputation and the business. If this news were to become public, It could reflect poorly on me as a leader and potentially impact the business. Noted, I'll do as instructed. Blair responded calmly without asking further questions. She ended the phone call, feeling a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. What could Ethan be involved in that would drive his own mother to such extremes? Blair had been working for Miss Charlotte for years, and she had always been a formidable woman, but this was a whole new level of intensity. She quickly messaged Masson, knowing she couldn't do it without him. Taking a deep breath, she got out of bed. Whatever, she shrugged and came to her canvas in the other room, where she decided to continue her sketch. She was so happy it was almost hard for her to go back to sleep. She had been working on it for days and was finally giving the final touches to the eyes, which were green with black pupils, making a perfect match with the curly brown hair. The details and fine lines on the face were very important. They made it look like a real personal masterpiece. "This is it," she muttered under her breath and smiled at her hard work. Present. Blair hailed a cab with a hand signal and provided the driver with the address, fastening her seatbelt. 123 Ilmayad Street, Victorville, colon 98765. At that moment, she had no desire to return to the office. Yesterday was her birthday, and she had promised her mother that she would celebrate with her. "Can you stop at a bakery? I wanted to get a cake before I get home," she requested, and the cab driver nodded at her request. She rolled down the window, feeling the strong wind against her face from outside. Today she was truly happy. She wanted to spend the entire day with her mother, Ms. Elizabeth. Since Ms. Elizabeth's divorce, she had always been her source of strength, supporting her through thick and thin. Ms. Elizabeth had witnessed her daughter at her lowest points and never gave up on her. So Blair also made a promise to herself that from now on, she would prioritize the things that truly mattered in her life, starting with spending quality time with the woman who had given her life.